digital presence / using digital job boards to find your next job. I want to introduce myself. My name is Andrew Jason. I am with Emerging Prairie here. We run the Emerging Digital Academy, which is a program through. So our goal is to help. We know it's a challenging time for everybody involved, and we want to help those out who might be looking for their next career. This is also in partnership with CoreLink, so we'll have them introduce themselves in a minute. But before we get into the meat of the matter, we really want to get to know who we're talking with today. So as you feel comfortable here in a second, we'll have you go around and introduce yourself and maybe just say quickly what industry you're in. Or if you are with CoreLink, just let us know. And then before we do that, though, I will turn it over to Liz and Allie to quickly introduce themselves. They will be leading this conversation around building your digital presence.
Awesome. So my name is Liz Campbell. I serve as the head of student life and community engagement with the Emerging Digital Academy. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means here in a little bit. But I'm excited to see you all.
And my name is Allie Morth. I'm on the Learning and Development team with CoreLink Administrative Solutions, and part of my job is to help people with their career development skills. So I'm also excited to be on the call today and look forward to sharing with you.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Liz and Allie, for that. So maybe if we want to just kind of open the floor up to anybody to introduce themselves, kind of quickly say the industry they're in, or maybe the industry that you're thinking about going in, so we have a better understanding. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it over the microphone, feel free to just put it in the chat widget.
Sure, I think I can go if that's all right.
Yep.
So my name's James Johnson. This is my first time attending one of these. I'm at Discovery Benefits, soon to be WEX, so it would be the health and wellness industry for like pre-tax spending as well as insurance with Cobra.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Anybody else want to introduce themselves?
I can go next. This is Elise. My name is Elise Damaris. I'm part of the HR team at CoreLink. Been there for about 3 years, and we'll be looking for my next opportunity in HR or the benefits space in 2021.
Awesome. Welcome to Kara, too. She is the software engineer at CoreLink, as well as Haley. Fun to see all the CoreLink crew.
I can go. I'm Yvonne Amundsen. I'm a director at CoreLink. We are an IT company, and I will be looking for a similar leadership job here in October.
Awesome. Welcome to Steve, who just joined us as well. We're just kind of quickly going around and introducing ourselves and telling us kind of what industry we're in or looking to get into, if you feel comfortable introducing yourself.
Hi, I'm Steve with CoreLink, developer.
Awesome.
I'm Margaret Schwartz. I'm also with CoreLink in a manager position, and so I'm also looking for similar, as I'll be done October 1st.
Great. Perfect. Well, I think with that, feel free to, again, post it in the chat. Otherwise, we'll turn it over to Liz and Allie. At the end here, we will have a Q&A. So as we're discussing, if you do have a question, just throw it in the chat sidebar, and we will be sure to ask it at the end. So take it away, Liz and Allie.
Awesome. So I want to give a little bit of a plan for what we're going to talk about for really the next 55 minutes. Again, leaving, like Andrew said, leaving some time at the end for that Q&A. I'll give a little bit of an outline of what EDA is for folks who don't know. We'll dig into social media, as that's a huge part of our online presence. Allie is going to talk to us all about some really great LinkedIn tips, tricks, ways to look at things a little bit differently with LinkedIn. And then we'll finish up with some online job searching and what are some best tactics for that. So Emerging Digital Academy is what EDA stands for, and I want to share that with you, share a little bit with you about that for a couple minutes. So short and sweet, it's a 20-week coding boot camp to learn skills to be a full stack developer. The rest of the story is that software skills are in demand in North Dakota and across the country, and there's not enough professionals with the skills to fill those positions. And so EDA was formed as North Dakota's first and only coding boot camp. We are a nonprofit career training school here in Fargo. It's a way to learn the content in a structured, accelerated pace, really meant to emulate the first 6 months of working at a software company. And so the students spend 20 weeks learning not only the technical skills, but also the public speaking, client management, mentorship, career development, and that support even after graduation. So that's where I come in. I get to do a lot of that career development and professional development with the students, and I love it. It's been great. So if that is something that's really the quick about all of EDA, our next cohort begins on July 27th with a application deadline on July 20th. It is free to apply, free to explore what it is. I am willing and would welcome any and all questions. And you can also check out our website, emergingacademy.org. And we have info sessions every other Tuesday. And so you can check those out too, where you'd get usually about 20, 30 minutes of a little bit more in depth of what that is. So that's Emerging Digital Academy and some of the cool things that we are doing over at Emerging Prairie. So I'm going to switch gears and talk about social media. So all things related to social media. Again, we'll dig into LinkedIn. Allie will dig into that a little bit more, but really thinking about how do you utilize social media for your benefit in what you're doing. So one of the biggest pieces is to maintain respectful dialogue in whatever it is that you're doing. If you're posting, if you're sharing, things like that, that is a way to keep that positive dialogue of hiring managers. I think the stats like 94% of them utilize social media in some way, shape, or form, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, they go and they check that out. Second one is to think twice before posting. And what think stands for is it true? Is it helpful? Is it improving the conversation? Is it necessary? And is it kind? I've heard of a different one for I that sometimes is it inspiring, but I really like this. Is it improving the conversation? Are you contributing in a positive way to further that conversation and develop that conversation more? So thinking when you're posting your social media can be really helpful to make sure that all of that is coming into play. And then the last one is checking your privacy settings. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty on how you do this on all of your platforms, but definitely check that out. It looks a little bit different for Facebook versus Instagram versus LinkedIn, and Allie might get into that a little bit for LinkedIn, but really pay attention to each of these, each of the privacy settings that you have to make sure that you're showing what it is that you want to show. And to set yourself up for success. So being smart on social media is, I think, a helpful reminder for anybody, but especially for folks who are job searching. So Allie's going to talk and dig into LinkedIn because I know that's why a lot of folks are here. And so I am going to stop presenting so that Allie can take over.
Excellent. Thank you, Liz. I will see if this will work here. All right, so can folks see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. I would like to do kind of a live demo of LinkedIn because I feel that is most beneficial as far as seeing how interactive it is and what types of things you can use on there. So I will go through a little bit about my own personal profile as well. Scotty Nolan has agreed to let me use his as an example. And then I also have Liz's up here. So a few key things. I'm just going to kind of start at the top and go throughout the profile. So the banner up here is one way where you can showcase a little bit about your personality as well as keeping it professional. Scotty is into design, so I like the clean and simple look here, to quote one of his favorite phrases. And then Liz highlights Fargo, which is also cool. To edit that, for those who might be unfamiliar, you just click on the pen icon, and then from there you can upload basically any photo. It is good to make sure you're not doing any sort of like copyright infringement or anything of that nature. So just make sure that it's a public image. And then also talking about images, your profile picture is quite important. As long as you have one, that is a good start. You want to make sure that, again, it's professional, but it also shows a bit of your personality. It does not have to be a professional photo done in a professional studio. It can simply be one that you are wearing professional attire. It's taken with a nice background. There's nothing questionable going on. Definitely, that's where LinkedIn definitely maintains that professional aspect and kind of sets itself apart from Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or things like that. Moving down into the headline. So here you have 120 characters in your headline, so you can use that to your advantage, whatever you're trying to convey. So for me, because I will be looking for corporate training positions in the future, I have capitalized on corporate training, group facilitation, learning and development, and then also highlighting that I am proficient in Spanish, just in case that would come into play. Scotty, I like his because he put in there specifically he's looking for his next opportunity and also open to relocate. So those are two key items that will come up in searches if a recruiter types in marketing content strategist and they look at Scotty's and they're like, hey, well, we are located in New York. I don't know if he's the right match, but he is open to relocate. So maybe this could work. And then Liz's is very succinct. I like it, empowering individuals to find their purpose and engage in their future. So this is where your headline will be definitely individualized to you. Are you currently looking? Are you looking in the future? Those are things that you can kind of highlight and refine based on your specific situation. The next thing, so I'm still fairly new to LinkedIn. So I've only been on LinkedIn maybe about a year and a half. And I was kind of an anti-LinkedIn person for a while. So I currently only have 344 connections. 500 is definitely more I would say the goal for most people. And then from there, anything is just kind of icing on the cake. Scotty and Liz both have that 500 plus connection mark. So that's my next goal. And to get there, it's kind of nice just to add maybe 5 to 10 connections per week. And I think actually I'm just going to add someone to show you how easy that is. So I thought about this beforehand so that it wouldn't be too awkward. I know exactly who I'm going to add. So I will add Blaine. I like his Christmas sweater there. And he spoke at 1 Million Cups last week. So I will customize this invitation. Here I'll add a note and just say, I enjoyed hearing you speak. Oops. At 1 Million Cups last week. And it can be as simple as that. I could add more if there was something specific that I wanted to either offer him or connect with him on, but I'll just leave it simple like that. And there we go. So that's as easy. That is like, it's definitely don't overthink making connections. If there's a certain company that you are interested in, you start connecting with people, definitely start with people that you know or have something, maybe some sort of connection with in the community. But from there, just don't overthink it really. It's not a huge deal. Any questions so far? I feel like maybe I should pause briefly. Good to go. All right, so I'll keep going. The URL is another good thing. So right over here to the right side, you can see edit public profile and URL. So when LinkedIn first assigns your URL, there will probably be a bunch of letters and numbers after your name. So again, it's just as simple as clicking the pen icon to edit your custom URL, and that will make it easier for recruiters or HR professionals if they have the link to just go directly to it. Then your about section, this is where again, this is very open to how you want to present yourself. You can be as direct and I would say keeping it very short if you would like, or you can elaborate a little bit. So I liked Liz's. She has her Clifton Strengths top 5 in there. I'm a huge fan of strengths, so that spoke to me immediately. And then she also sums it up in about 1 sentence, actually. So that's very clear and concise. I went a little bit longer in mine. Mine is still a work in progress, but it's definitely more of a paragraph feel. And I think that's kind of what Scotty's is as well. And there he has it broken down into some strengths and then brand collaborations. And so that again is based on your role, what you'll be seeking in the future, and then also being able to express who you are professionally and maybe adding just a little bit of a personal touch.
I like to say also in that summary or that about section is really, it's where you get to tell the story of who you are and what you're all about. So if there was some impactful moment that led you to your career path, to what you want to do, tell that story. Try to find the way to do that succinctly, but tell that story in there. That's how people get to, how recruiters, how connects, how other people get to know who you are. I've had a lot of people who have, I've heard stories of people who have said, I read this on someone's about page and we connected on it. And now we're doing a presentation, or now we're presenting at a conference, or now we are collaborating on a blog post, whatever that might be. It can be a great way to connect with other people that typically you don't get to do on a resume or a cover letter even. So your LinkedIn really gets to be that expanded resume.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing that, Liz. Another thing too that you can do is if you are, let's say, a software developer, so actually a software engineer. So I searched for this yesterday. So if I just look for other people who are software engineers, so I know Derek Larson, so I could click on his, but I can just review their about section and see, well, hey, how did they approach it? Like, what did they have to say? Maybe I can do something similar, or maybe I like this specific aspect of like what they covered. So anything like that is very helpful as well. People will be able to tell that you've viewed their profile, but I like to think of that as an advantage actually, because then if there are people that, you know what, like I really look up to them or whatever the case may be, they'll see that I viewed their profile, and some of them have in return looked at mine. So I kind of use that to my advantage. I try not to look at the negative side of it might come across as I am creeping on their profile, but I use it to my advantage definitely, so that they know that I've been looking into what they do on the professional level. That takes us down basically to the experience section. This is where again you can take more of a bulleted approach, or you can go with more of a storytelling approach where it's maybe a paragraph style. I guess I didn't. So yeah, here Liz has more of like she's telling the story, giving the background. I took more of the approach of bullets just because I am kind of a bullet lady. I like to just keep the thoughts pretty simple and straightforward. I may change that in the future. Who knows? But this is where it really is up to you. It does not have to completely reflect your resume. It does not have to be a copy of it, but you can definitely use your resume to build out this section and highlight the skills that you want. For me personally, so this is what my public profile looks like. And I may change this up again later. I'm just going to say that. But currently for my experience, so if someone's not connected with me on LinkedIn and they're not signed in, they just see my collaboration specialist role, which is in learning and development. And that's because that's what I hope to pursue in the future. Whereas some of this like test engineer 2, membership operations analyst, even though those things are all very helpful and they've gotten me to where I am today, those aren't the roles that I'll be pursuing in the future. So that's just another thing to keep in mind too, kind of seeing it through the lens of someone who's reading this for the very first time. Liz, did you have any more thoughts on that?
No, I think that's great. I haven't I haven't ever personalized my public profile with that in my mind. So I appreciate learning about that. That was good.
Excellent. Okay, good. I'm glad that was helpful. Then in your education section, this part, again, like you can include the years if you'd like. I believe, Liz, you have your years on your education section. And I don't know about Scotty. Let's creep on Scotty. What has he been up to? Yeah, so he does have his years as well. The only thing is, again, hopefully age discrimination does not happen. But if you're afraid that it might, definitely take the years off. I know that I'm not old by any means, but I've just chosen to leave the years off, just as a personal preference. So then some volunteer experience is always good to have in there as well. That shows a little bit more about what you are truly passionate about outside of work, as well as maybe skills that you've gained from those roles, which may be a completely different skill set than what you use on a day-to-day basis. And the final thing that I wanted to highlight before I go into like some of the nitty gritty where you can change your profile settings, we'll get into that a little bit. Recommendations are phenomenal. You want to have, I would say, a minimum of 3. One is a good start. Sorry, Liz, I'm like calling you out there. But definitely 3 is a good start, because I was talking to Scotty about this actually last week, whereas before, if you put down people who would be your references, those are, typically, and I think we talked about this, or Liz talked about this on last week's call, about you're only going to choose people who are going to say good things about you, which is true, right? Whereas with recommendations on LinkedIn, these people have chosen to put their opinion of you on a public platform. So like Jeremy went out on a limb for me. He wrote what he thought of me and was willing to put it out for all the public to see. So he's putting his name along with, and his reputation along with endorsing me, essentially. So that's why it's kind of good to have those on here, because even though, of course, you're going to choose people who will say good things, again, it's that added level of, hey, yeah, I'm willing to say this about you, and I don't care if like the whole world sees it. So that speaks more highly, I think, than just the phone references. Liz, any more thoughts on that particular topic?
I don't think so. I think, yeah, I would just echo that. I think that the references can be incredibly powerful. It's if an employer asks for 3 references, fantastic, you can provide those. I would say more and more employers are not checking into references, and so if they jump on your LinkedIn, which we know is more likely that they will do, at least they can get a quick snapshot. So it's not a full-on conversation, but it's a little bit more about who you are as a person, the work that you've done, and all of that on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to highlight a few more things on here. So under your settings and privacy, this is a very good tab to get familiar with. I won't go into every single item. Definitely, there are just 3 things I want to highlight. One of them was editing your public profile, and this is where you can go in. So over here on the right side, number 1, you can make your profile completely private if it's still under construction and you really don't want future employers to see where it is at currently. You can turn your public visibility off completely. And then you can choose like who can see your profile photo, who can see articles and activity, current experience, all of that. You can show or hide it according to your comfort level and whether or not you feel like your profile is polished or not. Let's see here, another one that is key is, let's see. So I think notifications, let's see down here, how others see your LinkedIn activity. So sharing job changes, education changes, and work anniversaries from profiles. So this is especially important to turn off if you are making a ton of updates, just because all of your network will be notified. Like if you're making all these job updates, probably everyone will see it, and they might accidentally congratulate you on a new job that you completed, 10 years ago or whatever the case may be. So just being mindful of some of those notifications and making sure that your settings are turned to off until you get it polished. And then one more thing under job seeking preferences. So here is where you can let recruiters know that you are open to opportunities. So I have set mine to yes, because I am currently open to my next opportunity. And so that means that recruiters will be able to find me a little bit better and also see that I am open. So those were just a few things I wanted to highlight, but I would definitely say familiarize yourself as much as possible with the privacy tab, because it will come in extremely important. And that pretty much closes out my quick LinkedIn rundown. Did you have any other thoughts on that, Liz?
No, I think all of that you shared was incredibly helpful. And I think when looking at your LinkedIn, think about what is the picture that you want to paint for someone. Again, I'll say it, I think that that LinkedIn can be incredibly powerful in enhancing what's on your resume. So you can go on and add PowerPoint presentations that you've done, or if you put together a project and there are photos or videos of it, you can add that to your positions as well. So you can really show the story also of your resume. And utilize it to the best of your ability. A lot of people will add their LinkedIn profile to email signatures. You can add it to your resume as well up at the top. I know we talked about this last week, but having that in your header, which makes it really nice when you have, like Allie had shared, that you can personalize your URL. So it's not Liz Campbell with a whole bunch of numbers and letters afterwards, but being able to personalize that just looks really nice and crisp on your header as well for your resume. So that's another place that you can put that. If you have business cards, see if you can add your LinkedIn to business cards. It's just another place to be able to direct people so that they can connect with you on a personal level. Yeah, love LinkedIn. And please connect with Allie and I. I'm volunteering Allie and I for this. Please connect with us. We would love to connect on those pieces. If you want some feedback, let us know too, and we can explore that a little bit as well. Yeah. Are there other questions about LinkedIn? Otherwise, I'm going to jump over to some online job search too. Okay, I'm going to keep going then. So online job searching. So these are some of the sites that we recommend. They are not the end all be all by any means. So LinkedIn, they have their own job searching tool on there, which is really, really slick to be able to utilize, especially because it has your profile outlined on there. And so it can tell you, yep, you are qualified for this because of these skills that you have listed, or this sounds like something that'll be right up your alley, something that you're interested in. So LinkedIn is a great, great resource for those jobs. You can also see if there's a specific recruiter who has posted that job. You can then also connect with them, send them those personalized questions, or say, I saw this position, I've applied for it, I look forward to hearing from you soon. Sending those quick messages is also another great way to make that personalized touch and utilize LinkedIn to the best that it can be. Indeed is a very common one. It's right up there with Monster and things like that, monster.com. So that's another great one to use. Go Fargo Jobs is another one. That's, I think, where I found my position at Emerging Prairie. Jobs HQ, and then careerbuilder.com. So those are all really great resources. Some of them are more specific to Fargo. Other ones you can personalize them to the location that you want to go. When you're doing that online job searching, set up job alerts. So whether that's for location, position, pay, anything like that, a lot of them have pretty detailed funnels or filters that you can set so that you get those job alerts. The LinkedIn one, I utilize that one probably the most, and that has where you can look to see what's been posted in the last 24 hours. So you're not continually sifting back through jobs that you've already seen posted, you've already applied for them, but you can see what's been posted in the last 24 hours, especially if you're actively looking for a position. Let's see, other things with online job searching. keeping up to date with what those jobs are. So organizing yourself on a spreadsheet or whatever your method is, if it needs to be Post-it notes around your desk, I don't know, but having some sort of organizational system for yourself. Any other tips for the online job search that you have, Allie?
I think the biggest one is just being persistent. And like I've definitely gotten into the LinkedIn rut where I'm kind of using that more than I should, and not taking my own advice to branch out and look at these other websites on a regular basis. So yeah, I think just being persistent and keeping yourself accountable.
Awesome.
Can I offer a tip?
Yeah.
Because I have, especially now being active and everything, I've noticed that sometimes on LinkedIn, it's so easy to apply for stuff on LinkedIn now that I will sometimes just like click away and will apply to like 20 jobs, in like a day. Well, then I see those same jobs pop up on another job site, and kind of like you were saying about being organized, really keep in mind what you've already applied for and how you've applied for it, because some of those jobs you can apply through the company's website and LinkedIn, and you don't want to accidentally apply 17 times for the same position, because that's going to come across a little desperate,
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good tip. And I would say, I think we get to this to the next slide, but to that point, that if you find a position on LinkedIn, I recommend always going to the company's site itself and apply through there if you see it. If you see it there, apply through that, because there are, right, like you said, Scotty, there are those 100 people that apply through LinkedIn, because it is really easy. They have an easy apply button. It'll pull the information from your profile, and it's great. But that's 100 people, where if 10 people apply through their site, that's your name is one of 10 versus one of 20 or one of 100. So also taking that into consideration of going to their site, seeing if it's posted there, post it through that. It can be tough sometimes when a lot of I think about when I have applied for positions in the past, you upload your resume, and then there's also all of the boxes that you need to fill in, right? So like now you're also entering in your work experience. Well, it's on my resume. That's utilized for different purposes. And so making sure that you're filling that in as well. Mandy gave me that as a tip. So thanks, Mandy. Shout out to you. I think you're on the call somewhere. Yeah, so keeping that in mind of going to the company's websites to apply can be helpful. And then you eliminate that, oh, I saw it on LinkedIn, I'll apply there. I'll apply it Indeed. I'll apply it Jobs HQ, whatever that is.
This is Mandy. I'll pile on to that one. One thing, as someone who's, I've been in HR for a long time, and I've looked through a lot of applications, and you would be blown away by the amount of what I'll call spam applications, where it's people who are, maybe they're just applying because they need to apply for jobs for unemployment, and they're in no way, shape, or form interested or qualified for a position. And in formats where it's easy, where you can just click and it's one button apply, you get a lot more of that. And so I really think that Liz's advice to go to the site of that company is solid advice.
Well, I appreciate that. So I've had this number 80 up on the screen for a couple minutes. 80 is, does anybody have any idea of what the number 80 is? It's a percent, 80%. So it's 80% of jobs are secured through networking or internal hires. That's a huge number. So that means only 20% of jobs are ever posted online. So why are we spending all this time talking about online job presence, right? Online job searching. And that's because you get to network. And so that's where Allie was talking about LinkedIn, of making those connections, making that networking, pay attention to the companies that are hiring, make the connections with the recruiters, make connections with people that you know at those companies. They may not be in the position that you want to be in, but they probably know someone at that company that's in that position, or they may know an HR rep. They may know the HR director that they can put in a good word for you. A lot of companies have what's the word that I want? Bonuses or things like that for employees. The referral program. Thank you for myself to get to that point. The referral program. So a lot of companies have that. And so by making those connections, it's all about that networking. It's all about those about those connects that you can have with other people. And so, yes, know your online job search presence, know your social media presence, build up your LinkedIn profile, because all of that is helping you to network and to find what some of those positions are. You may have a conversation with someone and they say, oh, you're really interested in this. We've been thinking about having someone hired for that position. And you're now in their mind. You are now the person that they're thinking of, oh, there are people out there that want to do this. Let's jump on this. So a little bit more online job searching. We've talked about a couple of these, but I wanted to give a few more resources and places that you can go. So again, networking, make those connections. Networking can be really intimidating. I've had moments where I am not good at small talk. It's not my favorite. Anybody else in that boat? See a few hands raised, right? Yeah, me and Allie, we'll just be in the corner talking to each other. But really thinking about that as a conversation. That's what networking is. It is just a conversation. One person talking to another person about something. So making that connection and having that conversation with someone, you never know where that can go. And always finish with adding each other on LinkedIn. National associations, I think that this is something that can be underutilized, but has a great potential. A lot of career fields, almost all career fields, I would say, have some sort of national association or national organization, something like that. Go to their websites. Most of them have online job boards. And so that's going to be very specific to your career path or your career interest, and can be a great way to get some of those positions. A lot of them also have Facebook groups where other people may say, hey, we're hiring for this position. Anybody interested? Check it out. Make some of those connects. Again, company sites, please try and go and apply on those sites. If you don't see the job on their website, it is appropriate to reach out to the HR department or a recruiter to ask how they would prefer for you to apply. So if it's on LinkedIn and it's not on their website, talk to the person. They either posted it on LinkedIn, find someone that on LinkedIn you can search company name and recruiter and see who comes up. So using that search function for good and helping you to figure out who might be best to talk to. Colleagues, ask trusted colleagues. If there are people who are in your position elsewhere around the community, elsewhere around the country, wherever you want to go, ask them. Say, hey, I'm interested in this, or this. Do you know of anything, or do you know who I could talk to, or that type of conversation. If you're not wanting to share with folks that you are searching for jobs, that is normal. So it's just saying, hey, I'm just looking for some new connects in our career community. Do you know anyone I could talk to? So that can be a great way to navigate that. And then friends. Does anybody have those friends that you don't really understand what their job is? Yeah, there's a lot of people that I don't understand what their job. I'm glad they seem passionate about it and I'm excited for them. But ask them, get to know their jobs. Some of them are some of my close friends and I don't know what they do. Ask them about their jobs and that could lead to a connection. They may say that they do something that's just a little bit different than yours. It's a different twist, and talk about how can you collaborate? How can you connect? How could you maybe work together? So thinking about that of, I guess, colleagues and friends is less online, but it could be. But just thinking about that networking, because there's a lot of power in that networking that you can do with others. Tactics and techniques. PDF. So submitting your documents as a PDF. Also have a simplistic resume to have that be in a different format, but that's something, sometimes formats can get wonky when you submit them online in a different format. So PDF's always helpful. We talked about this one, but always going through the company's site to ensure that it gets into the right hands. Fill out the forms. It's not awesome sometimes to resubmit and retype in what 30 jobs that you had in the past. That would be a lot, but whatever jobs you had in the past. But being able to do that is just, you're filling it in. There's a reason that they have them. Anything that you can do to make the job easier for the hiring manager or for whoever is on the other end reading your application, do it. Just remember, I'm doing this for them so that they bring me in for an interview. Do your research on the company that you want to be a part of. So what is it that they value? What type of company is it? If you can, talk to someone who works there, see what they love, what they don't like, what are the benefits like, whatever it is that's important to you in your next position, talk to another person about that. And then knowing yourself. This, I think, can be incredibly powerful to know what it is that you want to have in a company. What do you value? What excites you? It can be hugely incredible or impactful for yourself, both in knowing the company that you want to be a part of, but then it also helps for your interview once you get to that point of what are your strengths, what do you value, what excites you about this company, because you know that going in to apply, you know what you're excited about for that company to be able to apply to them. So I think that that last piece is something that we oftentimes don't spend a lot of time doing. It's not my strength. But something that can be powerful is when someone is in a presentation and they say, we're going to take a minute and we're going to do that. So we're going to take and do a 1-minute brain dump. This is where you take out a piece of paper, you open up a Word doc on your computer, whatever. I have Post-it notes in front of me, so I would write that on a Post-it note. But pick one of these 2 prompts and just write for 1 minute. So I'm going to time us for 1 minute. I'm just going to have everybody write down anything and everything that comes into your head. What do you want out of your next job, or where do you want to be in 5 years? So this can be helpful for maybe for folks who are actively looking. What do you want out of your next job? For those that maybe aren't actively looking, where do you want to be in 5 years? So we're going to take 1 minute. I'm going to set a timer on my phone, and I'm just going to have you write anything and everything. Don't question what comes out of the pen. Ten seconds. Go, 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 go. All right, and time. That was really fast. My hand doesn't move as fast as my mind was moving. Allie, did you do it? Did you have any giant ahas that you had within your brain dump?
I didn't have any giant ahas, but I put it down and I dated it so that I can kind of hold myself accountable. That's part of the reason too why I chose a specific banner I did on LinkedIn to follow that dream. Just a continual reminder that, you know what, just like go for it. And 5 years is a long time, so hopefully within 5 years I can achieve part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I like that you dated it and you're going to put it somewhere as that reminder. I think that's a great idea. I'm going to do that too. It's the 24th in case anybody else wants to do that. Of June. Welcome to 2020, everybody. Anybody else want to share either an aha or something that you didn't expect to write down? You just kind of freed your mind and typed or wrote?
This is Mandy. I know for me, the things that I wrote, like I found weren't extremely specific to my job itself, but more so like what's going to come out of it or things that I really want a part of. You know, like I wrote that it's really important for me in my next job to be working for someone who's a great leader, you know, or to be that I really want to continue to have growth and development, you know, like those sort of things. It wasn't really like I will be HR manager doing this, this, and this, but
I think that's incredibly powerful too, though, of that gets at more of what is the culture that you want to be a part of, and looking through your list and thinking, is this something that I feel as though I have now and I want to continue having it? Is it something where I feel like I'm missing something? Is it something that could expand into something even greater? Or is this something that I get to be that person? Do I get to be the person who is driven? Do I get to be the person who I wrote down on here, or am I looking for that in that leadership type position? So yeah, I think that's awesome. And it may be that the things that you wrote down, you don't know what job that is yet. And that's where we get to explore that. That's where doing some of that researching on what positions are out there, and seeing what positions are there, what companies are there, and how do those things start to fit together, and making again some of those connects and those networking decisions to talk with people, to sit down. I may not know what it means to be this particular position at this company, or if it even exists, but I'm not going to know that until I have those conversations, until I make some of those connections. So thank you all for doing that 1 minute brain dump. If there's something that really stuck out with you and you want to dig into that more, go for it. Write it out some more, make it a 15-minute brain dump. I give you permission to do that. So let's see, we're about 13 minutes from 1 o'clock. And so I think we can open up for questions if there's anything that folks would like to know in particular.
I can maybe get it started here, Liz. So going back to the social media presence, I think we've all heard stories, usually around like famous people that, a tweet from 10 years ago gets dug up and comes back to haunt them. I guess, for the average person, how much should we clean up our profiles and all of our Facebook and our Twitter and our personal accounts like that?
Allie, feel free to jump in. I would say I would clean it up as much as you feel is good for you to clean up. What I've told folks to do at other times is to Google yourself. I don't know if anybody has ever done that, but if you Google yourself to see what comes up, the goal is to have your LinkedIn profile to be the first thing that comes up, right? Especially if you're job searching, you want that to be the thing that pops up, is right there on the top. My maiden name, if I just typed in Liz Hanley, I popped up as a very excellent violin player in Europe. That's not me. But if I was to type in Liz Hanley Fargo, then I would pop up as me and who I am. And so keeping that in mind too is that recruiters and employers know that, okay, if I can't get them in the first trial, add in the location. And so that's something to do, or the company name or something like that. So do that search, see what comes up for you. And if there are certain things that you don't want to highlight or that come up that you're not necessarily wanting to show, make those changes, make the adjustments. And it can also be helpful to have someone else. So if you have a friend or someone else, pull that up so that they can check that out too, just from a different perspective.
Yeah, I think that's all great advice. And I definitely err on the side of caution. So personally, I do have a Facebook page, but I have it locked down so tight that I'm like, people who are technically my friends wouldn't even learn anything new about me. If they went on there, they'd just be like, who is this person? But yeah, I do think it's good to err on the side of caution, and definitely I would recommend reviewing the privacy settings every now and again, just because they do tend to change and you don't always get notified when they change. Or if you do get notified, it can be written in such a way that it really doesn't make sense. So definitely check through those privacy settings from time to time. Have friends see what they can see without being logged in. Once they're logged in, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think, checking your privacy settings regularly, and maybe make a system for yourself, right? So every 6 months, do this more if you are job searching, but every 6 months, update your resume, update your LinkedIn, check out your privacy settings. So maybe that's something that you set for yourself, that you do at Thanksgiving, and you do it at Easter, or you do it the first of the year and you do it in July. Whatever that is for you, set that as a goal where you take a few hours and you update your resume, because when you get to a point of applying for jobs, you're not going to remember what you did 3 years ago. And so set it up so that every 6 months you update and you put in new information, you add that to your LinkedIn, and you check those privacy settings. I think that can be a good way to keep up on that.
Feel free to post your question in the chat as well. Going back to job boards, I know you touched upon this a little bit, but job boards can be full of misleading information, or a job that can be confusing, or it might be from 6 months. And I guess any recommendations on how to kind of wither out the or siphon out the crap from the quality?
Allie, do you want to take it or do you want me to take it?
You can go for it, Liz.
Got it. So really it comes down to doing your research. So researching the company, yes, just in where do I want to work? But if you see a position come up, be excited about it if it's something that you think would be interesting or you would be qualified for. And then take the time to, like I said, go to that company's website. If it's not on their website, that could be red flag number one, but it's not a flag that means you should not apply for it. It means you need to do more research. So talk to someone who is there. Again, let's say that you were looking, I'll use Emerging Prairie. You're looking for a job at Emerging Prairie. You don't see it on the website, but you found it somewhere else. Go to LinkedIn, type in Emerging Prairie and staff and see who comes up. Reach out and send a message to someone saying, hey, I found this position on LinkedIn. I found this position on Indeed. How can but I don't see it on your website. Is it something that's still available? And that can be a great conversation starter as well, just to make some of those connects. And so really it's all about that networking and to being able to see if a job looks too good to be true. Oftentimes it is, but doing that digging and doing that research. And you can also reach out to some trusted mentors that you may have to say, hey, does this seem real? Does this seem like a good position? But doing that research and checking it out a little bit more.
Something I've experienced a couple of times is that somebody will add me on LinkedIn that I've never met or don't really know. And they will just send me a private message requesting, asking about a job, even if we're not hiring. Any recommendations on kind of etiquette when it comes to, sliding into somebody's DM? LinkedIn style?
Yeah, are you thinking more like as far as etiquette, as far as you as the job seeker, or?
Correct, yeah. So if I'm
Okay.
looking for a job and I really want something at a job at CoreLink, is it weird for me to private message Mandy, and even if maybe CoreLink isn't hiring?
I would say, you know what, I'm all for just kind of being bold about it, but remain professional. Like that's the key to me, because that DMs can be very tricky, where it can either be the most unprofessional thing and very off-putting, or if it's well written, it's done with grace, and it's just like you can tell the person put a lot of thought into it. Then I would totally just go for it. Like treat it more as a cover letter almost, but a very short one.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it goes back to that 80%, right? 80% of jobs are never actually posted. And so by making that connection, you could say, it doesn't appear as though you have any positions open in this type of work, whatever it is that you're wanting to do. But I would love to sit down with you if you would be open to, I guess now, a Zoom call or a Google Meets to talk more about what it's like to work at this company. I would love to do kind of thinking about that informational interview, right? Of having a conversation with someone about what they do, what their company is, what excites them. That can be, if anything else, it's that connection of you may not have a position available right now, but it's a company that I think I would be interested in. Would you be open to a conversation? The worst they can say is no.
Mm-hmm.
And that DM can go to anyone, it maybe someone who happens to work in that company, they can make a connection, and that might be easier for someone to do than just totally a stranger, because that's hard for some people it is, for some it isn't. As far as from an etiquette standpoint too, I just want to throw out there, be mindful of how persistent you are and make sure you're appropriately persistent. That if someone has kind of talked to you and already given you the answer, that you don't, because I've had some where they become borderline obnoxious, for lack of a better word, where they're constantly messaging. And we've talked about, what we did or did not have available in their skill set already. So I think that you don't pester, but take that chance and be bold to make that connection.
Yes, I agree.
I'll just throw this out there as another discussion point. I once was hiring for a job. Somebody applied and they actually sent me a pizza, like a Domino's pizza they had delivered to my office.
Okay.
Good, not good.
You can take that one, Liz.
Interesting choice. I've never received that question. Yeah, I don't know that I would necessarily function with bribes. Would be my mindset with that. Allie, Mandy?
Wait, Andrew,
No.
you're saying you did not hire them immediately?
They were not qualified, so I did not hire them, but they got an interview.
If I was hiring someone for their pizza business,
Ooh.
then, if it was some sort of like direct connection, like, I don't know, I am Mandy and I make really cool widgets and I'm going to come work for your company and now your company's going to make these really cool widgets. If I were to give you one of those widgets, that's pretty cool. But random pizzas, probably not.
Does it depend what toppings they put on the pizza?
Pineapple only. No.
Yes.
That actually does speak to a question I have about like after, and maybe this is more of like in the interviewing process, but what is the appropriate, especially nowadays, is it weird to send letters? Is it appropriate to send an email? Like what is that, and when in the process does it make sense to do that? To like say thank you for considering me or whatever?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like that one. I would say it is always appropriate to send a thank you. I think that's something that's underutilized a lot. As far as whether you send an email, whether you send a thank you, like physical card. I would say, one, pay attention to the company. If they're a company that focuses a ton on sustainability, maybe an email makes more sense. If it's a company that but regardless of who it is, send that thank you. If it's someone that you had some sort of connection with, send the note in whatever format, and having it be as specific as you can. If there was something that you made that connection with them on, that you can pull out and really give that personalized touch, I think that only helps you to send a thank you note. I don't know that there would be any hiring manager would be like, oh my gosh, he sent a thank you note. Weird. Everyone would be excited about that, because I think that gratitude goes a long way. As far as when to send that, I would send it after any interview that you have, to whoever was a part of that interview. If I've had some interviews where I don't necessarily know I don't have emails. So even if you can send it to at least one person and say, if you would share this with the rest of the team, that would be great. I want to express my gratitude for everyone, for their time and whatnot.
Awesome. Well, it looks like it is 1 o'clock, so we can probably end this. Thank you so much, Liz and Allie, for a great conversation. I will throw this out there that you can email Liz or Allie if you have any additional questions. That's okay.
Please do.
Yeah. And Liz, want to give us a little preview of what is happening next week?
Yeah. So next week, we're going to talk about managing benefits and salary negotiations and all of that. We're going to have a panel of HR specialists here to talk with us about some of those nitty-gritty details. So Mandy and I are going to tackle that one.
Awesome. Well, I hope we can see everybody there next week.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.